my name's Szkotnicki. In my real life, I'm a teacher of home economics or family consumer science at a school in Virginia. And in my spare time, I like to play with old hardware, and I like to just generally make things. Some of you may remember last year's greatest hit, Lego Gummies. This is the follow-up, making your own gear. So a lot of times, I will see something on the internet, and it will be, that's really cool. I would love to put that on a shirt. I would love to put that on a bag. I would love to blank. And you go out and you look and you find out that, you go to Cafe Press, you go to any of these. I'm trying to think of the one that's always on TV. Custom Make, thank you, the one that we use for drama. And they're like, we'll print one, but you print one, and it's actually kind of expensive just to get one done. And I got to thinking, I bet I can do this. And I can, and it's not that hard, and I'm going to teach you how to do it too. So I'm a teacher, so there has to be an agenda. I'm going to give you some examples of projects I've done developing this technique. There are a couple of things. Everybody, when I first kind of pitched this, I pitched this to a couple friends of mine before I pitched it to the committee, and they're like, that's not that hard. I'm like, have you tried it? Well, no, then how do you know it's not hard? It seems like everybody, print and iron, it sounds easy, but it's actually really not, because there's a lot of places you can screw up. So I'm going to let you learn from my screw-ups. So I'm going to show you some examples. I'm going to discuss the tools you need. It's actually a lot less, it's not complicated. This is where people are going to mess up. Prepping and printing. There's a few tricks that I've learned when you're prepping your art and printing it that make your life a little bit easier. Ironing and finishing. I'm going to make a shirt in front of you. Yay! It is going into the prize package. It's going to the committee. It's going into the pile of prizes that you can win for the contests. And then I'll take questions, other thoughts, that sort of thing. So, examples. The way this got started was, I'm a crazy cat lady, and I got really into Neko Atsume, which I don't know if anybody remembers Neko Atsume. It was an iOS game that was super popular.
I still play it.
You still play it? And I love the cats, and I wanted to put the cats on shirts because I thought that, so you can get Neko Atsume merch in Japan. I'm making my own. So I did, this is the cat that comes and eats all your food. I'm going to pass these around. And I'm like, okay, that kind of sort of worked. What else can I do? I can make a t-shirt to irritate my students. Civil War was coming out. Everybody in my school was Team Captain America. I am super RDJ fangirl. I can antagonize people. Okay, cool. What else can I do with this? I can make a hoodie with cats on the sleeves. Because they're so cute. And the Japanese logo on the front. What? What else can I do? I can make big giant designs that are bigger than an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, which is one of the things I'm going to talk a little bit about, is how I managed to put, giant Rogue Squadron logo on the back of a hoodie. This gets a lot of attention when I wear it. If people are familiar with the Expanded Universe, this is a book-accurate Rogue Squadron logo. Thank you very much. Because I'm also a dork for Wedge Antilles. So, a lot of stuff you can do, a lot of places you can go wrong, which is what the rest of these are for. So you'll see it all, don't worry. How do I get started? First thing you need is something to iron to. Start with the basics. What? Generally you want cotton or cotton blend. You don't want a lot of stretch where you're going to place the image. Andy, let me know if I get out of camera range. Okay. Because you're going to iron this on. And if this stuff does not stretch. So if I were to put this on like a spandex bodysuit and tried to put it on, it would be like, and there would be like lines and stuff all over everything. It would be bad. In my case, I am using what is this? I think it's 100%. This is a 100% cotton t-shirt. I got this at Joann Fabrics for like $4. This is a very cheap project. I washed it. Wash your garment first. Just the same thing as when you tie-dye. They put something, the chemical is called sizing, and all it does is make it look crisp and shiny and black and awesome in the store, so you buy it. But when you're working with fabric, you want that washed out because you want to iron to the cotton and not to the chemicals. You need an iron. It's an iron. Does anybody not know what one of these is?
Some might not know what it is.
Does anybody not know what one of these is?
It's those things you find in the closet in the
Portable George Foreman grill.
This is not the thing you use to cook your cheese sandwich in your hotel room.
cheese, come on.
This is not the thing that you use to. This is not a George Foreman grill. This is an iron.
Now Wi-Fi?
No, it is not Wi-Fi, but I feel like they make Wi-Fi irons because they make Wi-Fi refrigerators and Wi-Fi coffee makers. So why not?
Is that Windows or Mac?
Linux.
General Electric. No, Hamilton Beach.
So Honeywell.
Honeywell. I have it set for the hottest setting. There will be times when you don't want to do that, but for what I'm doing today, I want it on super, super hot.
Does it need steam or anything?
No, no steam. Thank you for it. Thank you. Yeah, do not use steam. You want dry heat, and it's going to become very clear why shortly. You need a pillowcase. Sounds weird. You actually don't want to do this on an ironing board because you want pressure. Ironing boards are squishy. When I press down on this, I want some resistance. Hopefully I hope this is wood.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Countertop heat resist. I do this in my kitchen on the countertops.
So is this material like heat and bond?
This is kind of like heat and bond. It's a little. I'm about to talk about the last thing you need, which is the actual inkjet stuff, which gets its own slides because it's the meat of the matter. So, little easier setup. You also need an image that you like or that you've made. And I'm going to talk a little bit how you prep those images, things you want to think about, things you want to consider. Software to manipulate the image. GIMP works really well. Because I am a teacher, I get Photoshop for stupid cheap. So if you are lucky enough to have Photoshop, fine. But no, I did a lot of this in GIMP because I wanted to make sure that you could. You need an inkjet printer. Does this stuff exist for laser? I think so, but I have never used it because I only have access to inkjet color printers. And you want a fairly decent quality inkjet printer. Your output, your shirt is only going to be your bag or whatever. It's only going to be as good as your output. You need the iron-on paper, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and you need a good, sharp pair of scissors. These are little ones because I have little ones for cutting out little details, and I have big ones for cutting out big details. So I've only used Avery is not paying me to say this, but I've only really ever used their brand. So they make two. One is light fabric transfers. Do not use this on anything that is not white and maybe gray. The reason is, when you want white in your image, this uses the color of the shirt as the white. So if I print something out and I iron it on a red shirt, where I wanted it to be white is going to be red. Yes, there's a way around this. The other thing is I actually did try to print some, if, I don't know if anybody, whoever has the Rogue Squadron hoodie, one of the shoulders, the S is a little bit of extra around it because I goofed. That is how I found out that this stuff, even if you want to do like a straight color on a dark, it doesn't take properly. It really needs the light fabric to actually make the transfer process work. So again, learn from my mistakes. This is, for this, you need to be able to mirror the image because you're going to print it out backwards and put it upside down. And there's instructions in here.
You say reverse, you don't mean negative, you mean mirror.
I mean mirror. Yeah, reverse the, it says, I think, yeah, you have to be able to mirror the image. Again, GIMP, Photoshop, all that does it. Good thing about this, Pro, more forgiving when you use the iron. This is a lot easier to iron. This will take heat a little more readily. You don't have to be as careful ironing it. The downside is it has a much, much greater tendency to crack. It's much thicker than the dark. I'm going to pass Kitty here around. I made this for, we did Three Musketeers a couple years ago. And I made this to wear backstage. The kids thought I was hysterical. I did the meow for one and one for meow. This is the kind of thing I do when the kids lap this up. But if you look real close.
Lap it up.
What?
Lap it up.
They lapped it up. Cats. If you look real close, Pothos here he's got little cracks in him. Yeah.
Is that business?
I think I called him Perthos. Perthos, Aphis, Potanian, and Arameow. The other thing to remember when you're using this is to be careful how much ink you put down. I actually, this is Wraith Squadron, which is another extended universe Star Wars thing. And I'm going to pass it in. This one you can really see the cracking because the dark blue, I put down a lot of ink. And if you look, I'm going to pass this around. When I washed it, the blue bled out. I did not need to have it cranked up to 1200 by 1200 DPI. Oops. And you can see, and in the dark, you're going to see the cracks a lot more. So, good and bad. For everything else, to make Avery 3279 dark. Pro. You do not have to reverse the image. This has a backing on it that you peel off and you just iron right on the image. You iron it down exactly like you printed it. No reversing, no worrying about, is my type going. If you're going to do Word, you have to be careful. You have to reverse it and make sure that everything's going the right way. Big con is this is a little bit more fiddly to work with. This has a tendency to burn. You have to be a little careful. So it's not super, so white areas, and I did this for Destiny because I'm a big fat Destiny dork. And if you look at the Destiny logo, the white areas, and if you have a lot of white areas in your image, it's going to tend to scorch a little bit. So you're going to, what I do, and even this, it takes practice. You turn your iron down, you just take it slow. I just pushed this, I literally pushed this one iron too far. Literally, you just kind of have to get a feel for it, which I'm still a little bit getting. But you can see then I did the Vanguard logo, and the white is fine. And then the other thing you have to realize is if you're doing a sleeve, there's a seam on the other side that pushes your work up into your iron. So if you're doing a sleeve, I'm going to talk about how to prevent this line effect, because when you lay on it, this is pushing it, the seam is pushing it up in.
So just like to clarify, you're saying that when you pushed it too far, that the whites actually went a little bit darker?
It got brown, it burned.
Oh, so it takes on a slightly brown.
It takes on, yeah, so I'm going to pass it around here.
Does that actually look fine from where I was sitting?
Oh, yeah, that's
like
the...
being too hard on yourself.
No, and that's the thing, like, I'm really hard on myself. You see, and when it's far away, you can't tell. But when you get close, you can see it, so. That's the former cosplayer in me going, oh my gosh, I'm judging myself. Questions so far? Oh, okay. Oh, geez.
So real quick, you said something about you had the dots perched too high and that once you get too much blue.
I got too much blue. So if you think about it, what happens when you get, you print something on an inkjet and then you spill coffee on it? What happens to your printout? It bleeds. It tastes good, but it also bleeds. Same idea. You're using water-soluble ink. So if you're put down too much water-soluble ink, even ideally it's supposed to be locked into that paper, but the paper can only absorb so much. Physics. It's a thing.
So you use like what, 300?
I think the next time I backed it down to like 600. I did 1200 by 1200 DPI. That was a lot of ink. Wait. Wait.
So you're limited to, you can't do something like glow in the dark or something?
Not to my knowledge, unless you have glow-in-the-dark ink. But the color is coming from your inkjet printer. So if you can get glow-in-the-dark ink for your inkjet printer, first of all, I want to talk to you later. Second of all, you probably could. You can use fabric paint to like outline things. I'm kind of going to talk about a few things I did at the end to cheat my way around to things. Prepping art. GIMP is free and easy to use. Yes, it's easy to use. If I can do it, you can do it. What I do, I set a canvas size of 8.5 by 11. It's a sheet of paper. I arrange images on the page. I want to use as much of the piece of transfer as I can. Can you reuse it? Yes. With just plan ahead. So in this case, this is what I printed out to make for the pieces that I did for today. I arrange the images on the page. The reason it's like this is because you can reuse it. This is left over from the Destiny hoodie. It has to have a clean edge. It has to have a full 8.5 clean edge for the printer to grab, unless your printer is a lot better than mine, which probably it isn't. So, when I'm looking at this, I'm saying, okay, well, I know I need to arrange it on the page around this hole. The other thing I do to make my life easier is I want my hoodie back. I want my hoodie back. Olivier, I want my hoodie back.
He doesn't speak English very well.
I have a former student who, I have a former student that I can Facebook, and she will tell me how to tell it to you in French.
You gotta make sure you address it correctly.
I will leverage my former students. Especially when I'm working with dark black. I usually work in white and black because they're the easiest. Like the Iron Man I did on red. I've done some stuff on other colors, but white and black are my favorite to work with because you don't have to play matchy-matchy color. I add filler around the edge of the art to help it blend into the shirt. You may have noticed when I held this up, there's black. If you could lay this down on the Destiny hoodie and you'd see where I cut it out. That's so that I don't have to cut super in close to the design and to potentially slice into the design. That is so I can give myself a little bit of wiggle room and not see like white space between, if you're gonna iron on the black, last thing you want to see is white outlines on your Iron Lord's logo. So all I do, real easy, I go into GIMP. This is actually setting up the apple. So this is my canvas, 8.5 by 11. So each of those little apples is a layer. And then I just select the whole thing. I selected the apple, did the inverse thing so I can only color around the apple and it blocks out. If you know how to use Photoshop or GIMP, it's pretty simple. Selection, invert the selection so you're drawing around it. Life is good. mask things off. And then I copy and paste it. I did a couple for white, a couple for black, so I knew that this was going to be the last time I was going to be able to put this particular piece of paper through the printer. So I figure I'll do a few. Maybe I'll buy some off. Maybe I'll hand them out. I don't know. So it's really, really not that hard. Like I said, if I can do it, you can do it. Print drafts. The first time you print should not be on this. First thing I did was print it in draft to see where everything was placed. And then I hold it up and I look up and I'm like, okay, everything is okay. I can move this. I could print it out. If I were doing this on this piece, I could probably fit another little thing in the middle. Okay, I'm happy with placement. Second test. Print it at the DPIs that you're on your high DPI, high quality, to see how dark it's actually going to be. There's a significant difference, at least on my printer, between draft quality and finished quality. And you want to check that. You want to make sure everything is exactly the way you want it before you use the good stuff. Again, white transfers need less ink. Back it down, like I said, on my print, and your printer is going to vary. Every printer is different. Every printer puts out a different amount of ink. It will require, what I honestly did, and I kind of the first time I started doing this, I sacrificed one sheet, just did a bunch of test prints and got some scrap fabric and just ironed on got things wet just to see how much I needed or how much I could take. Obviously it's not 100%, see also the Raid Squadron t-shirt. When it says feed one at a time, it means it. Sometimes you say, oh, I don't need to feed it one at a time, it'll be fine now. And then trim very, very carefully. So what I'm going to do. So first thing I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to try and do this so you guys can see. Actual demo. First thing I'm going to do is cut it off of the big piece of paper. And then I'm going, this is little tiny scissors like this will get you well into little tiny cracks and crevices. Big giant, I have my big orange shears, but that's not going to get me into, say, the little under the leaf. What?
Hold the scissors, move the object.
That's exactly, yeah, Michael's right. Hold the scissors, move the object.
No, it's fair.
And I'm going to not talk while I do this so I don't mess it up. Take your time doing this. I make it look easy. It's not. I make it look easy because I've been doing it. It's like I tell the kids all the time, this guy, hey, you make this look so easy. Yeah, it's because I've been sewing for 20 years. You've been sewing for like 20 days. Okay. So I end up with this. He's so cute. What? Oh, I heard. So trim carefully. I got it pretty close, not super. I mean, could I go closer? Maybe. I'm not. My hands are shaky today, so I'm not going to push it. The other reason why I'm not going to push it is on the dark. So how does the dark go through and then not get the glue all stuck to everything? The dark actually has a backing on it that you have to peel off. So I'm going to very carefully get in. Long nails. This is why I left my nails long. And I'm going to peel off this backing. So backing. Now this thing is ready. This is where the heat sensitive. This is where the glue is. So prep your area. You want to have some leverage because you want to be able to push. Pressure and heat are your friends. So I actually do, like I said, I do this in my kitchen. This is a little low, but we'll make it work. Heat resistant area. Hopefully this is heat resistant. I'm going to actually like quad up the pillowcase. Like I said, it's going to tell you to do this on a pillowcase on like a countertop or something because you want some resistance. Lay out your whatever. Make sure you're putting it in the right place. If you want to center it, you can, a great way to mark center on a t-shirt is to fold it front to back, or fold it side to side, match your shoulder seams. So my the shoulder seams are matched. This is the front. This is the center front of my shirt, and I'm going to put a pin in it to mark it. So now I know where center front is. So again, this is it's so easy. Can you find center front on a t-shirt without a ruler? I can. I'm going to give it a quick once over with the iron because it got a little rumpled coming here.
Is that like a big mouse you're using there, or what is that?
I know, it's a big mouse. It's obnoxious. Okay. Make sure it's all smooth. So make sure everything's smooth where you're about to iron. Again, lumps equal burn lines. Place your image on your shirt where you want it. So I'm lining what I'm doing. I wish I had I wish I had an Elmo, a document camera. I'm lining the leaf up with my center mark. I'm basically making an Apple Store shirt, only with the correct logo. With the correct logo. Place your image, check. Is this where you want it? Check again. Is this absolutely where you want it? Because once you grab that and do this, you're done. If you messed it up,
You should.
yep, you're getting your cargo to John's or your local. For those from other countries, your local Joann's is a chain of craft stores where you can buy like sewing materials and fabric and craft materials and paint and T-shirts and all kinds of weird stuff. So for my international audience, your local craft store of choice. All right, iron. Following the included directions. Basically, the white stuff you just iron on and peel it off when it's cool. The black stuff, they give you this piece of like parchment paper, basically.
So that comes with the pack of the transfer.
That comes with the pack. Yeah, you get 5. You get 5 transfers, the parchment paper, and the instruction sheet. I think Walmart around like $10. But you can get pretty far on $10. So what the directions are going to tell you to do is iron it for about 15 to 20 seconds on high heat and push down. What? It's not going to burn. The parchment paper doesn't burn. Parchment paper is also what bakers use on cookie sheets to keep their cookies and stuff from sticking. It's also something if you're going to cook fish in your oven, if you want to do like fish in a pouch. Yeah. Papier in paper, because parchment paper is what you use because aluminum will react with lemon juice. You want to move if it's big enough, you want to move it. This is small, I can get it all under the iron. I'm going to talk about how I did the Iron Lord logo and how I did the Rogue Squadron in a second. It involves more than one sheet. And yeah, if you have a big sheet, you want to slowly up and down, slowly back and forth, and it takes longer. It's going to give you, it actually gives you full sheet 2 minutes, half sheet 1 minute, quarter sheet 40 seconds, about 20 seconds for little tiny apple. And that's actually in the thing. You guys, you can come closer if you want to see.
How much total ironing time?
For this, about 20 seconds.
Which is probably 20 seconds more than what we moved on.
I'm going to let it cool. Don't try to peel it when it's hot because it's going to peel right off. So while it cools, I'm going to talk about do you want to do something bigger than an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper? Because you're going to get there. And Who has my Destiny hoodie?
Olivier.
Olivier, where's my hoodie? Nice toss. So if you look really, really close, and I can pass this around again, what I did so this is obviously much larger than a sheet of paper. This is significantly larger than a sheet of paper. What I did was I take these images, I put them in something that's going to print tile print. Is anybody familiar with Microsoft Publisher? I know Microsoft. This is the one thing this is the one program that Microsoft does not make for Mac, and it makes me very sad. Because Publisher, one of the things that it does is it will take a large document and print it in 8.5 by 11 tiles. So you put your document in, you figure out how big you want your image. Like I think this was set for 12 by 12. It does it kind of weird sometimes. It broke it into 4 images, and then you peel off the backing. And this I'm not going to demo because it's very fiddly. You will drive yourself crazy. You have to basically match the images. You have to match the tiles together. Match the tiles together, and then you have to, get them where you want them, and you're sitting here like this in your kitchen for an hour, and then you iron them down. The trick with that is you want to iron very carefully, lay the parchment paper. I have actually saved several pieces of the parchment paper from so I have a bunch of pieces of this now, which makes it easier because I can put 2 or 3 out, and you don't want to you're not moving it, so you're not moving your tiles.
So do you iron it one single piece at a time, or do you try?
No,
to
I iron the whole thing. No,
Whole thing, okay.
you want to iron the whole thing, because what you're then doing is you're ironing your seams.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you want to iron the whole thing at once. So because you get it all laid out, iron it all at once. Very fiddly. Every now and then it does slide. If you look real close at the Rogue Squadron, you can tell it kind of, there's a couple places, but from far away you can't tell. Same thing with the Iron Lords. It's not foolproof, but from across the room, I had a bunch of people at MagFest come running up at me to me like, "Oh my gosh, where did you buy that Rogue Squadron hoodie?" And I was like, "I made this." And he's like, "Would you make me one?" No. So this should be cool. It's been a couple minutes. Then all you do, peel this off, take the pin out, and you have your very own. Somebody is going to walk away with this very nice fake Apple Store shirt that I just made.
What do you mean fake?
Totally fake. Totally legit. Pirated. And that's another thing about doing this is sometimes custom ink places will give you a hard time if you want to do an image that's not yours. If you want to do Neko Watsume, if you want to do the Vanguard, if you want to do the Apple logo, they're going to give you static about it. No one in your kitchen is going to give you static about ironing stuff to a hoodie in your kitchen. When I do sleeves,
Let's just say people in Apple just try and make them at the same time.
yeah, that's it. Well, the cat gives me a hard time because I'm not feeding him, but whatever. What I did find out with the Rogue Squadron hoodie is the best way to do sleeves is get a chunk of cardboard, cut it to this shape, and stick that in the sleeve, and that'll protect you from the seam. I just spaced doing it on the Destiny hoodie, and I realized my mistake too late. Well,
I was looking at the Rogue Squadron hoodie design, that extra large multi-sheet tiles, and I saw pieces that were overlapped.
Yes.
And I thought that was so that you don't have gaps.
It is.
Okay, so that was
on purpose.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. No, Publisher will ask you how big of a and I think Excel will do this. I know there are other programs that do it. I have access to Publisher at school, so I may or may not run them through Publisher.
Okay, so
that's cool.
So Publisher will give you the overlaps.
Yeah, Publisher actually, when you go to print in Publisher, it will say what do you want for your overlap, 1/10, 2/10.
Okay.
So this is the leftovers from the Iron Lords. So you can see how it tiles it in the middle, so you end up with all this excess. That's why I said be careful with those. But as long as you have one of these edges, I can use these sheets again.
During your preparation phase, when using GIMP to work with your image, that black outline, was that because of the image type? Like, I imagine something with the transparent PNG that wanted to be there. Was that an artifact?
No, I put that in.
Okay.
No, the black outline is, I grab the paintbrush, I set it to 100% opacity, and I draw around it to give myself some breathing room when I'm cutting. That's what this ends up being.
Okay.
It's like a mask.
What? It's like a mask, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It just gives me a little bit of ease.
So how close is that parchment to baking?
It's pretty close. I've used baking parchment in a, you can use baking parchment in a pinch.
Commercial baking
Yes.
supply store.
Get rolls, yeah, if you really want, you can get rolls. You can buy it at the grocery store. Wilton makes it. You can buy Wilton at Joann Fabrics or at the grocery store. So yeah, you can get bigger sheets. I have used my baking parchment in a pinch.
Did you try with a print shop or Better Media or software?
To do that, I would have to have a way to make my Apple II talk to an inkjet printer. Way back when in the day, yeah, I know they did make dot matrix iron-on transfers. I don't know if I haven't looked to see if anybody makes them anymore, because I remember in the print shop it has an option for flip image for iron-on. So I suppose if you did, you could run it through like Virtual 2, ship it out to a PDF, and then send that to an inkjet printer. Then yeah, you could totally do that. Keeping in mind that you don't want to make the way that print shop does color with outlines and things. You're going to be careful. You're going to have what you want to be careful of how much white space you have. You're welcome. Any other questions, comments, concerns for the good of the order?
So I know this isn't really the topic of your talk, but for like it's more of a fashion question. So, and you showed us like how to center the logo.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like for fashion though? Maybe you want things like off center and weird places. And is that kind of like you might think for it's kind of square to do it like dead center or something. Is it fashionable to do the off center and weird things, or does people not do that because it doesn't look very good?
You can do whatever you want. It just takes. I did center because it's quick and easy for me to demo. I mean, this, I had to figure out where exactly to put this so it hits exactly where I want on. I want it on the breast. So I want that took some time.
I know you can do it, but if you do it, does it look cool and fashionable, or does it look like you made a mistake if you?
It depends on what your whole design. It depends on your whole design. Like if you put an apple right here, it's probably going to look like you made a mistake. Yeah. If you have an apple here and there's a whole other design going on, because that's the other thing you can do with the Neko Atsume hoodie, all of those cats are individually ironed on. So one of the other things you can do is I did a whole sheet of cats, cut them out, and then you can do all kinds. You can put you can put a row of apples. You can put apples on your shoulders. You can do all kinds of stuff. So you just have to kind of play with it and see what you like and what is aesthetically pleasing to you. There's no accounting for taste. I tell the kids that all the time. What?
Does the washing habits of the shirt need to change?
Yes, thank you. That was actually my, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Cold wash, do not put it in the dryer. Very simple.
Gentle?
Yeah. I usually do gentle.
Turn the shirt inside out?
Yes, and turn the shirt inside out. So basically, just like every other screen printed shirt you have in your life, except don't put it in the dryer. Because the dryer, Avery says you can put it in the dryer. I work too hard on this. I don't trust, I guess I should trust them, but I don't. So yeah, no, I put these things, and I've run them all through the wash. The white is going to crack more in the wash than the black is. And actually what you can do, a little trick, take your baking parchment or your parchment paper from here, slap it down, or if I wanted to wear, before I wear the Wraith shirt again, I'll just slap a piece of parchment down and run an iron over it real quick, and it'll close up all those cracks. I left it cracked so I could show you guys what it looks like, but I can totally, it just goes in my ironing basket, and so I iron it and fold it, put it away, just like, iron your shirts and hang them up and put them away.
Everybody's different.
You wound me.
So
The home ec
that will
teacher.
actually look like it closes up the cracks if it starts getting
Yeah,
cracked?
yeah. What all it's doing is it's remelting the glue. Here. Do I have a minute? How much time do I have?
Much time as you can.
Well, no, I would like dinner at some point in my.
5 minutes.
Okay. I don't know about you, but I like eating. So all I do. This out of the way. Lay it out.
What's this you're showing us now?
So this is the race, like I said, so race squadron shirt, really cracked, because this was one of the first ones I did, and this is kind of what I was kind of learning on, and this really dark color will show the cracks really a lot. I was probably pushing the limits of the white iron on. I probably should have done this one on a dark, but I didn't.
Question.
Answer.
Yeah, I don't have an inkjet printer at home, but I've got a cheap black and white laser printer. If I were to, because you said print it out on regular paper to test it out, see if it comes out looking okay, can I print it out on my laser printer and then go to like a Kinko's or whatever and print it out on an inkjet?
They might give you a hard time about doing copyrighted images. Yeah.
So.
Kinko's is going to give you they're going to run into the same problem there that you're going to run into with like custom ink or cafe presses is the copyrighted images issue.
Depends on the manager on duty.
Yeah.
You make friends, they'll
Yeah.
let you print anything.
Yeah. I mean, you can honestly get an inkjet printer for not a lot of money.
Buy my own printer, got it.
Yes. And they make these for laser. I've never used them, so I don't know how they work. If you put this through a laser printer, you're gonna really, really bork up your laser printer because this is heat sensitive glue. So all I'm doing is I'm putting the parchment down on top of the logo, and I'm just gonna give it a real quick once over with the iron. Highest setting. And again, practice is good because everybody's iron is different. My iron this iron does not even run the same as the irons in my classroom. And then it's not super great, but it's a lot less cracked than it was. And it feels. What? No, I've achieved my move goal for the day. But it's a lot less cracked, and it feels a lot better. So you can kind of get around that. I am also here all week, and more than happy to answer questions, or if people want to go out and get stuff and try this, I have the iron. I'm more than happy to help you, walk you through the process. You can have some fun. You can have a lot of fun with this. Charles.
Have you ever done a garment that's not like a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, like a hat?
I've never done a hat.
Like molded or
Yeah, that would the hard part there would be finding something hard to put under it and getting the iron. I'm sure it's possible. It's just you might have to like grind yourself out like a wooden jig or something to put the hat on. Well, I have woodworking tools.
Just the idea of.
Yeah, I feel like on a cotton hat you could. On the foam like trucker hats, probably not, but on a cotton hat I think you could probably make it work. Would a heat gun work? That is a very good question. Let me know.
My question's similar. Can you try like something with more of a coarse texture to it?
No, the texture's going to go through. You want something with a smooth texture. I haven't tried it because I'm just knowing what I know about textiles and how this works, I can almost guarantee you're not going to be happy with the results. Very delicate fabric. I don't even work with silk in my costuming, so maybe? Question mark. I feel like silk depends. How well does silk take heat? Yeah. What? Depends upon the silk. Yeah. It's like I said. I don't work with silk. I honestly mostly work. For this, I work with cotton, and when I do most of my costumes, I work with things like I work with a lot of synthetics. Do not try to do this on a synthetic. Do not try to do this on 100% polyester. Polyester is plastic. Do not try to do this on polar fleece. Polar fleece is made from recycled plastic bottles. All you're going to do is melt plastic onto your iron. You're going to need it, and then you're going to ruin your iron, you're going to ruin your transfer, and you're going to hate your life.
Not made from Arctic sheets?
What?
Not made from Arctic sheets?
Not made from, no, they're not made from, they're made from, I have a video on, it's not on this computer, it's on my school computer, but yeah, I show the kids how they chip plastic bottles and make them into polar fleece. Again, I'll be here all week. If you have any more questions, find me. Thank you.